Imagine a man, crisp SS uniform, standing on the Auschwitz ramp, smiling calmly while pointing left or right with a gloved hand. One direction meant forced labor and slow death. The other meant immediate extermination in the gas chambers. This man decided the fate of hundreds of thousands with casual gestures. He was not a battlefield general or a high-ranking party official. He was a doctor, a man sworn to save lives, who instead became one of history's greatest monsters. Josef Mengele, known as the Angel of Death, turned a Nazi death camp into his personal laboratory of horrors. Behind his charming smile hid a cold obsession with racial purity and twisted science. His victims, especially children and twins, suffered unimaginable pain in the name of pseudoscientific research. While the world later hunted him for decades, Mengele slipped away into the shadows of South America. This is the chilling story of the Angel of Death, a man who escaped justice but could never escape his own infamy. Josef Mengele was born in 1911 in the small Bavarian town of Günzburg. He grew up in a prosperous family that owned a successful farm machinery company. From an early age, he was ambitious, intelligent, and deeply interested in academics. He studied philosophy, medicine, and anthropology at universities in Munich, Frankfurt, and Vienna. During his studies, he became fascinated with ideas of racial hygiene and eugenics, which claimed that certain races were superior and that society should actively improve its genetic stock. These concepts aligned perfectly with the rising Nazi ideology that promised to create a pure and powerful master race. Mengele officially joined the Nazi Party in 1937 and entered the SS shortly afterward. He served as a medical officer during the invasion of the Soviet Union, where he was wounded in combat and received several decorations, including the Iron Cross. His superiors noticed both his medical expertise and his strong ideological commitment. In May 1943, he received the assignment that would define his place in history. He arrived at Auschwitz-Birkenau and was soon appointed as one of the chief physicians. This role gave him absolute power over the thousands of prisoners arriving daily by train from every occupied country in Europe. On the selection ramp, Mengele stood out for his unusual behavior. While other doctors often looked bored or indifferent, he appeared almost enthusiastic about the process. Survivors remembered him whistling popular opera tunes or light melodies as he made quick decisions about life and death. He frequently pulled twins, dwarfs, or people with unusual physical features out of the line for his personal experiment. His polite manners, handsome appearance, and calm smile earned him the nickname Angel of Death among the prisoners. Many said his gentle demeanor was more frightening than open brutality because it showed how easily he could condemn people without any visible emotion. Mengele's true obsession lay in his so-called medical research. He was particularly fixated on identical twins, believing they held the key to unlocking secrets of genetics and heredity. He collected around 1,500 pairs of twins and housed them in special barracks with slightly better food and condition. This was not out of kindness, but purely to keep them alive long enough for his procedures. The experiments were brutal and often deadly. He injected various chemicals directly into their eyes to try changing their color, which frequently caused severe infections, blindness, and lifelong pain. He performed unnecessary surgeries without proper anesthesia, removed organs, and deliberately infected one twin with diseases like typhus or malaria to observe how the other twin reacted. If one twin died, he often killed the second so that pathologists could perform comparative autopsies. He also conducted extensive sterilization experiments on both men and women. Using harsh chemicals, high doses of radiation, and invasive surgical methods, he tried to find fast and cheap ways to prevent reproduction among groups the Nazis considered racially inferior. Many victims died from infections or complications shortly after these procedures. Mengele showed no remorse. He kept detailed notes, took photographs, and even preserved specimens, apparently hoping his work would earn him academic fame and recognition back in Germany after the war. Beyond twins, Mengele experimented on people with dwarfism, individuals with different colored eyes, and Roma children suffering from noma, a devastating facial disease caused by severe malnutrition. His methods were not legitimate science, but cruel torture disguised in medical language. Survivors like Ava Moses Kaur later described how Mengele could switch from gentle and smiling to completely monstrous in seconds. He sometimes gave children sweets before taking them away for painful blood draws or injection. This twisted behavior left deep psychological scars that lasted for the rest of their lives. As the war turned against Germany in 1944 and early 1945, Mengele continued his work even as the camp system began collapsing around him. When Soviet forces approached Auschwitz in January 1945, he fled along with other SS personnel. He managed to avoid capture by Allied troops by using false false identities and blending into the chaos of retreating German units. With help from underground Nazi escape networks and financial support from his family, he eventually reached South America. He settled in Argentina in 1949, living under different names and even obtaining Argentine citizenship. For many years, he lived relatively openly, working in businesses and maintaining contact with his family. Back in Germany, the international hunt for him grew stronger over the decade. Famous Nazi hunter Simon Wiesenthal kept Mengele near the top of his most wanted list for years. Israeli Mossad agents came close on several occasions, but often prioritized other high-profile targets. Major newspapers like the New York Times published detailed stories about his crimes as more survivor testimonies and captured Nazi records surfaced after the war. BBC investigations in later years also covered the long and frustrating hunt, highlighting the pain of victims who never saw him face justice in a courtroom. Mengele moved between Argentina, Paraguay, and Brazil whenever pressure increased. He lived cautiously but never faced real punishment for his crime. In 1979, while swimming in the sea near São Paulo in Brazil, he suffered a stroke and drowned. His death was kept secret for several years by those around him. It was not until 1985 that forensic experts positively identified his remains through dental records and skeletal analysis. The confirmation brought mixed emotion. Many survivors felt deep anger that he had escaped a proper trial, while others saw it as at least some final closure to a long nightmare. The true horror of Josef Mengele lies not only in the sheer number of his victims, but in the systematic and personal way he treated living human beings as nothing more than laboratory specimens. His actions represented the complete corruption of medicine and science in service of a hateful ideology. Even today, his name continues to serve as one of the strongest warnings about what can happen when ideology completely overrides basic human compassion and ethics. Josef Mengele, the angel of death, remains one of history's most chilling symbols of evil. A doctor who betrayed his oath and turned a concentration camp into a chamber of horrors. His crimes against humanity, especially against children and twins, continue to shock the world. Though he escaped formal justice and lived freely for decades in South America, his name stands as a warning about the dangers of unchecked ideology and pseudoscience. The survivors who endured his experiments carried their pain for the rest of their lives, ensuring that his atrocities would never be forgotten. Mengele's story forces us to confront the capacity for cruelty that exists within educated, seemingly civilized individuals. It reminds us that vigilance against hatred and the dehumanization of others must remain eternal, so that no future angel of death can ever rise again.